Hello, once again, this is Brother Teacher with some advice as to how you should eat if you want to stay healthy. Uh, I've done some videos like this and on this particular subject in time past, several times. I've alluded to and have also given some specific information on this subject. And this is a different video, but it's probably going to be a different approach to it. Same information for the most part. I welcome you to weigh in with your responses and your questions, if you will, on the same subject. What to eat? First of all, comprehend, ladies and gentlemen, you can't eat anything that you want to and expect to be healthy and expect to remain healthy. We're living in a world, more respectfully here in America, that is heavily inundated with food-like substances that we find in the supermarket and the grocery stores. Things that we call food are not food. They're food-like substances. They're food-like products that contain some real food ingredients and a whole lot of everything else. So, real food gives you nutrition. Nutrition in the form of protein, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, even water content, depending on what it is, your fruits and your vegetables, for the most part. Your food must be real. Not just simply something that you can see with your eyes, that you can taste and feel, and has color. No, it has to be real. It has to come from the earth, and it has to be organically grown, organic by its nature. No additives. That's deep, isn't it? But it's the truth. So many food manufacturers and industries have pulled the wool over on millions of people's eyes, making you believe that you're eating something that's wholesome, something that's good for you, and it's not. Real food does not have artificial anything in it. It does not have artificial anything added to it. Real food comes from the earth as it is in its original state. So I really have answered the statement and or the question about what you should be eating. Everything that's organically grown. So, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables from the garden, from the vine, from the bush, from the trees, and even from the waterways. If you're going to eat meat, you eat meat as in animal protein. If you are going to eat meat, animal protein that is, make sure that it is what they call free range. Make sure that the food that the animals that are eating, your cows, your goats, if you will, your sheep, your turkeys, your chickens, everything that they're eating is natural to them. Not something that's full of hormones, not something that's full of antibiotics. No medication whatsoever. And they do give animals antibiotics because of the conditions by which they're being raised. Because if they want to bring the chickens, the turkeys, the cows to the market really fast, they try to grow them fast. And they give them hormones to grow. Many forms, commercial forms. They give them antibiotics because many of them get sick because of the conditions, the poor conditions that they are raised in, so that they can get to the market. And they try to mass produce these animals and grow these animals too fast. Okay, so that's just a footnote. So, what should you be eating? Again, food from the garden. When it comes from the garden, it is better for you in its original state. Just make sure you clean it naturally. You can use apple cider vinegar to clean your vegetables and your fruits on the outside, rinse them off and so forth. And if you cook your vegetables, don't cook them for long periods of time, because you're going to kill the minerals, the vitamin content, and they're not going to be worth anything. Don't microwave them as well, because you're going to kill anything that's nutritional in value for you. Make sure if you're going to eat vegetables, cook them for a very limited amount of time until they become flaccid, especially if they're firm vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and so forth, carrots. You can steam them. Steaming is better than cooking for prolonged periods of time, and that's true even with meat. Not the steaming part, but cooking for a prolonged period of time. You want to cook your meat if you're going to eat meat, animal meat, that is, or protein. So I'm talking about vegetables right now. If you cook fruit, I'm not a big proponent of cooking fruit, but if you cook fruit, it should not be for a long period of time as well, because fruit becomes very, very acidic when you bake it. Apples and so forth, peaches in the oven, and that can create some problems down the road, because fruit is not supposed to be cooked. If you look at nature and the animals in nature, they don't cook food, and they're perfectly fine. So we originally are nature, and we came from nature. We built cities and infrastructures around us, and we live within the confines of what we call city life. But that's not how it was in the very beginning. So understand that we are nature, and the things that we put in our bodies should be nature as well. And if it's going to be nature that we put in our bodies, then it should be as close to its original form as possible, with us not altering it. I hope you got that. So when you drink water, tap water has a lot of chemicals in it. Make sure that you have your water go through a process of filtration. You can get a charcoal filter for your sink, and even for your shower head in your home. It filters out most of the heavy metals and so forth. You can boil your water as well. And you can buy, or you can invest in a distillery, if you will. That's expensive, but you want distilled water or purified water. Didn't mean to jump on my words there for a moment. Had another subject going on at the time. However, I'm going to conclude again. What foods should you be eating if you want to be healthy? Foods that don't have additives in it, that's not natural. Synthetic additives and preservatives should not be in your food. You should eat your foods. I always tell my friends and my associates and my students this: if you're going to eat fruits and vegetables, the fresh first from the garden, the tree, is number one. That's number one. Secondly, if you can't get that, frozen. Thirdly, in the can. The can is the worst, but fresh from the garden. Secondly, frozen. And thirdly, or your last choice, should always be in the can, because the cans have, in many instances, a heavy load of salt to keep it preserved, or some other preservatives, and you have the estrogen laden BPA, bisphenol A, that lines the cans in most instances, and that's carcinogenic to us. Okay, if you have any questions on this subject, in the bottom line right here, leave your questions and your concerns, and I'll respond. So long.